Hello and welcome to the Tapas and Pretzels podcast. That should be the 10th podcast for today. And we also have a special guest. That's José. Welcome. Thank you that you are here. And José Luis Navarro is working at the BBVA. That's a bank. And he's also the expert in the field and also responsible for the strategy of the open banking or OpenFinance at that company or bank. And yeah, Jose, I have a question for you so that you are really familiar with OpenFinance. What would you say, what are the most or the difficult challenges about OpenFinance? And also maybe also open banking world. So what's your opinion about that?
Well, hello, Inga. Really nice for you to have me here. I'm really glad. And what I think, I don't know, BBVA is a group of banks in different continents. In fact, we have in Spain, we have in Turkey, we have in South America, we have in Central America and North America with Mexico. And also previously we had also one in US, and in all of them we attempted open banking or embedded finance. So we have a lot of experience about what's working, what's not, and difficulties. If I have to point out the main difficulty for the open finance right now is the own how to say mindset of the bank. We banks are like silos. We have a strong sense of ownership, and that is for our experiences, our branches, our systems, our apps, our mobiles, and everything that built up the bank during these, you can say, 100 years is directed to be in our ownership, right? So right now we are expecting the bank to do open finance. Open finance is that we are going to embed our financial services in third parties experiences, and they can be invoked from there and used in an environment which is not a bank environment. So not only the technical effort, which is huge in some cases, but also the people's effort. Like, for example, the processes, the customer service is not ready for non-customers having problems with our APIs. The scorings, maybe you will have a product that we can really offer it through open banking, but suddenly we realize that our scoring is not serving those customers that comes through open banking, but they really serve the customers that I have in the branch. You understand that it's a change of paradigm on how did you design the products, how did you design the processes, the controls, all of that is no longer valid. It can be challenged by a single fintech using your API. So that really is a big hurdle, not for BBVA, but for all banks. Of course, the neobanks may have an advantage here because they are new, right? So they didn't have the legacy that we all banks have. But I will dare to say that this is the biggest problem.
Interesting. I mean, as you mentioned, it's about, technology is quite important, but the process and the people, like the communication that you train the support engineers on random requests that could be raised from any kind of partner, vendor, or customer in the end that is using the API. Have you thought of these concepts of Federated API Management, or do you yourselves be a part of the open banking or banking as a service initiative? Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I think each bank is different on those regards. In the case of BBVA, we do have our own API management system. I will say that so far all banks are starting in the open banking race, so we are not thinking as far ahead or like a Federate managed API management yet, because we are struggling. I mean, it's not the same the speed I have in Spain for open banking that the one we have, for example, in Argentina. which they are pretty much starting. So they don't really need a federate management. They need just a management. And they need, you understand, that they are starting. So for some mature geographies, we may end up using federate management, because it's true that different business have different needs on the open banking platform, right? So at the beginning, what we try is to accommodate each one of the needs. At some point in time, we realize maybe that we have to do like a federate management and have some core and leave the rest to the business units like discretion, because that could be more flexible. So far, we are not in that stage. We are in the stage of trying to put every single country to the same speed.
You mentioned that there are many maturity levels. And that people effort is one of the main, I wouldn't say drawbacks, but pain points. So the question I would like you to answer is, how do you see, or which measures we can take in order to help less mature geographies to embrace or to grow up until the level of maturity that other more mature geographies are? I mean, for example, do you think a collection of use cases or business cases related to open finance could be useful? And in that case, if you can give us some examples of open finance use cases for our audience.
Yep. Okay. So first, I think the good luck for the underdeveloped countries is that the more mature countries already fail. Right? So at least we serve like an example about, okay, I mean, if these guys have a problem here, well, let's try to solve it up front. Right? Still, we are humans, and you know that humans can step twice in the same trap, right? So that's the case. But what we are trying to do at this stage in BBVA, that we have been for 5 years with open banking, open finance, and so, is to compile a list of, well, we don't want to say fail, we want to say learnings, and we really are trying to put those learnings into a training. So we are trying to train the rest of the countries, and actually we have a concept initially which was the API first, which means, okay, we need to try to have the API first mindset. Whatever we do a product, you have to think in API first. Well, this is not really valid, because API first is only for us open banking guys. The rest of all the people have different products to have first. So we change it to API also, right? So fine, you don't do API first, but when you create a product, think in the API also. Is this valid to share with some non-customers? Can I use this product directly in the experience of a third one? Which is never the focus of a bank, right? The focus of a bank is using it in your systems. So that's part of it. And now, you asked me for some examples, right? We see that the use cases, how to say, trending topics right now, for example, is about conciliation. Because everybody thinks about use cases like retail use cases, which they are. But retail use cases is really trying to fish, right? It's like, okay, I will put maybe a loan, a BNPL, buy now, pay later, and if I'm lucky, some retail customer will want it. Fine. But in reality, there is a collective, which is the enterprises, which they have specific needs. And they have needs not because of they want, it's because they have the day-to-day operations. And those day-to-day operations, is thanks to the API, you allow them to have immediate online reconciliation of the payments or collections, you are really enhancing their experience a lot. That's why they are really grateful for those kind of cases. Well, we realize that enterprises or SMEs, they do have a need for APIs. For retail, is more like a nice to have. If there is an API, they may use it or not, because not all retail customers wants a loan suddenly, right? But all enterprises need conciliation. That's why we found it's kind of a trade-off. You have the numbers in the retail, but you have the need in the enterprises. So that's why I think those use cases are more.
I agree with you. It's true that when we talk about open finance or open whatever, especially open finance, we tend to put the focus on customer users or account aggregation or payment initiation, but we also tend to forget about other case studies that probably are more important to enhance the experience of business users. That's a good point.
And one question, Jose, what are you doing to provide the degree of freedom that the business owners, the enterprises are looking for? Is there anything that you have specific in mind to support them? Is it I don't know, a freedom of technology, freedom of process? Because I can imagine that the adaptation of providing their products as an API is usually limited because of several reasons. Maybe you can give us here some insights.
Well, it's true. I mean, the first hurdle that you find when you're trying to use open banking or embedded finance with enterprises is that not all of the enterprises have the technical knowledge. That's one of the reasons we are trying to work with, for example, core systems like ERPs or business management systems, because if you can get an agreement with an ERP, all the companies that use the ERP immediately they could use your API. So it's impossible, and actually, you team, you're totally right. It's impossible trying to go door by door to each SME, trying to get them the API, because more of them will say AP what, how to write that, and I don't have a technical team. Can you do it for me? So in the end, and it's also it's impossible. That's like the good old traditional door by door selling. Okay, that's not possible anymore. But there are like agglomerators, so there are like companies that they already have contact with so many SMEs. Marketplaces is another example. Right? How many SMEs there are or companies are in a marketplace? If you can get your API in a marketplace, immediately, potentially, you could serve all the companies in there. And that's why that's for the part of connection, and for the part of needs of the enterprises, they are really square. They are really black and white. They need money, so sometimes you have to do the financing or confirming or factoring, and they need information. They need information for the day-to-day operations. Until they don't reconcile a payment, they can send the goods to the buyer. Until they don't get the money from the how to say, like, for example, a franchise, they cannot give the stock to the franchise for. So in the end, the needs are quite basics, and they are not a surprise. Okay, it's about financing, about working capital, and about day-to-day operations. And that's why it's a market. I understand that not only BBVA but a lot of banks are putting the focus right now on.
And what is your current or like near-term goal that you're trying to achieve? What is the topic that drives you most in that area?
Well, as really our topic, like I told you before, we have several geographies, and all of them are in different maturity level. Our main goal really is to achieve a sustainable level in each one of the countries. So we have, for example, Mexico and Spain, which are quite mature already, but we have Argentina, which is starting, or even will start on January. So we don't of course, we don't want to stop Mexico and Spain, which are going really ahead, but we don't want the gap to be so big.
No.
So we have set a certain number and name of APIs that we think is the minimum offering that each of the countries need to have. We try to leverage among geographies. It's not easy to reuse from one geography to the other one because the cores are different, but we are trying to get them. For example, in retail, in South America, you need to have account opening.
And also the
Not in
regulation.
Spain.
And also
Not in
regulation.
Spain, because Spain account opening is mature market, not really. But in South America, you need the account opening. And you need the payments, the QR payments, for example. And you need a basic set of APIs, like 3-4 in retail, 3-4 in enterprises. That's where we want them to go to speed right now.
When you say mature,
having a framework. Sorry. Everything go.
And Jose, when you say mature, basically you mean mature in the number of APIs they provide as a product, or
mature. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, is it the number of APIs, or is it basically the quality on the exposed APIs?
Both. If I remember, my first answer to Inga was about the bank is facing a lot of challenges. Some of them, and a lot of them, are about the knowledge, the processes, the tools. Okay, so we are doing a parallel effort, creating trainings for different profiles. So this is not only about technical guys. Of course, technical guys will think about APIs, but the sales guy need to know how to sell an API, and also he need to understand how to find there is an opportunity in APIs. Because a lot of times they get in conversation, but they don't even relate that to, okay, I can solve this through open banking. Okay, not only the sales, the design. When you design an API, you have to know you cannot do everything you do in-house. You have to simplify. You have to eliminate data that shouldn't be there, that is maybe restrictive, and it cannot be a third party finding it in the API, the design, and also the customer service, as I told you. So everything, every single statement of the bank, every single part of the bank needs to be conscious about everything you are doing now. It can be done for a non-customer in a non-bank channel, and that is what we are giving to each of the countries. So no, it's not only about the offering of the APIs, but also about how and the quality of the service. I won't say the name here, but we have failed some use case because we mistook the customer service, or we made a mistake in the design of the process, or we are trying to give a product instead of the one that they are really requesting us, because we thought it was a good idea to bundle a loan with an account, and they don't want the account, so we have problem with the loan because they don't pay. You understand? So in the end, whatever mistake you make thinking like a traditional bank, it's a learning, and that learning we want to spread it, and actually that's part of the knowledge and training we are giving to all the geographies.
Good. Thank you.
Right. I was going to wanted to highlight the importance of having a framework. We have talked about that in many other videos. I think that providing when you want to spread an innovation all over your locations, and there are such differences in maturity. Having a framework from the experience of or learning from the more mature geographies to be able to be used from the less mature geographies is really of paramount importance.
Yep. Well, I will add to what David said. The framework is, of course, the technical framework, which we are also giving a technical framework to all the countries, which is in common, and the human framework, I will say, the technical and the human one. And also you can put the layer of regulation framework. So in the end, the three of them will give the maturity level to each one of the countries. When you can set a minimum level in each the three of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Here in other videos also we have put the focus on the importance of people. Usually we tend to see digital transformation of whatever digital transformation focus on technology, but it's true that the main painful one is people.
So, David, I guess that was a good, I would say, ending sentence. And also a good resolution. So I would say thank you, Jose. It was a really nice insight into your work and your thoughts. And we don't want to forget digital transformation is made by people, so we also need to make it for people. And what I forgot to tell, we, the Adorers, are also at the API days, so don't miss our spot. Tim will be there, and I will also be there. I won't have a talk, but Tim. And yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will see us to the next podcast.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.